Okay, so I'm Janai Aragon. I am the Director of Technology Integrated Learning. I'm also a professor in the Department of Political Science. Thank you so much for coming today, for inviting us to give this presentation about the online academic community.
Hi, I'm Chandra Beveridge. I am the project manager for the online academic community. So I've been working on this project since about the end of 2012-ish, and will continue to be the project manager up until the project completion in spring of next year. So I'm from University Systems, and my official job title is the Project Management Process Manager. So also within my portfolio is helping other project managers to manage projects on this scale, small, big, all sorts of different things. So to give you a bit of background about what WordPress is and how it got introduced to University of Victoria, WordPress is what's called a content management system, or a CMS. We do have lots of CMSs on campus. I know there's a new nursing Cascade website, and Cascade is another example of a content management system, or a CMS. There are other ones out there as well, Drupal, Joomla, all of those sorts of things. So what a content management system lets you do is focus on the content without having to worry about things like HTML and JavaScript and things that tend to scare people and instill a lot of work and fear. So what the content management system lets you do is just to go ahead and type. You can add formatting, you can add any sort of bolding or underlining, you can add pictures and media using an editor, which we call a WYSIWYG editor, or what you see is what you get. It looks very similar to what you'd see in Microsoft Word or any other sort of word processing environment. So what's really great about WordPress is it lets you focus on what you want to write and present it on the web with a couple of easy clicks. So what WordPress is generally used for is making websites for people. So you can make your own website, you can make a website for a group, you can have a whole bunch of different people as administrators, or just subscribing to your site just to be able to read, or as a contributor where multiple people get to write posts and create pages and create content for your site. We're also going to be focusing on using it for ePortfolios today. And just to give you another piece of information, it's something called open source. So that means that we get WordPress for free. And it is a community built and driven project. So even outside of the University of Victoria, there are other universities across Canada and the United States that use WordPress for these different purposes that we're talking about today. So it's a very popular platform. I think it's something like 20% of the most popular websites on the web are created using WordPress. So that's a great reason to use this platform. So if you've used WordPress.com or Blogger or any other sort of WordPress or a site hosting platform, you've probably noticed that you have to pay money, and there's all sorts of weird user agreements, and some people just click through them, some people are a little wary of them. But what we've done is we've installed WordPress on campus, and we're hosting it here within Canada. So we do have a lot of privacy rules and regulations in British Columbia, and we have installed it on campus so that we can follow those and be compliant with those. And so WordPress.com, for instance, is hosted in the United States. And so every time that you are adding content to your website, you are sending it down to the United States. But if you use the online academic community, it's all here in Canada at UVic, which is fantastic. And so we take care of all of your updates for you. So I'm not sure if anybody's even had a WordPress.com environment, but you might notice that you get a couple of emails every so often asking you to upgrade your site. You have to click through it. You're not really sure what that means. You're not really sure if you have to test anything. Maybe your site breaks. Where do you go for help? Well, the beauty of having this with the University of Victoria is that University Systems can test your site for you. We upgrade your site for you. We're here to answer questions about how to create and manage your site. And we're just a phone call or an email away. So we have one community site and then multiple small group sites. So the advantage to having one community site is that we can actually see what's going on all around us in the UVic community. And so you can choose to make your site more public and attract interested people who want to know about topics that you're speaking about or courses that you're running, or you can make them more private and then they don't show up in the community feeds. So there's lots of ways to market your site, or you can keep it more private and personal, or just to a smaller group of people. We also make them very customizable. So we have a lot of different themes and plugins that you can use to make your site really sparkle. So a theme is a collection of colors and a layout of your site. So you can have a picture here and a banner up here and some side content. All of that comes in with a theme. So we can look through our different themes and you can pick which layout you like, which colors you like, which fonts you like, and make your site really unique. So what we did to build the online academic community is a lot of requirements gathering. We didn't want to just build a WordPress site or a hosting service just for us in university systems. We wanted to build it for the campus. So we met with a large variety of faculty, staff, and students. Generally, we did a pretty random kind of assortment of people, especially with the students that we picked. We put out a call on some social media and got a large variety of students from a variety of different faculties. And we made a feature list of things that people wanted to see. What was really interesting about this exercise is we actually didn't tell people about WordPress or really what we were creating. What we wanted to see is what people felt that we were lacking at the University of Victoria in terms of making your own sites and creating a presence online. And people told us all sorts of great things that actually aligned with our vision of what we wanted for the project. So that helped to confirm that we were going in the right direction and that we should proceed before continuing on. So that was really great. And out of that, we also purchased a large variety of themes and plugins. So we have over 100 for people to choose from. And as I said, each one of those would be each one of those 100 is a different layout, and then you can further add your own pictures and add your own fonts and your own colors. So there's millions of combinations really of different sites, so that not all the sites look exactly the same, which is really neat. And then plugins are just things that you can use to add extra features to your site. So if you wanted to have a Twitter feed on the side of your site or another little calendar, we call those plugins and widgets. So there's some other interesting things that we have so that you don't just have a static page with words. You can add little extra things that move and can help communicate other kinds of content. So we did a branding workshop as well, which was really neat and eye-opening. And so we did a bit of a word cloud to see what people were really interested in doing at UVic. So people wanted to have conversations, and it was energetic and intelligent and creative. So we had these things in mind when we were picking how we wanted the community to function and how we wanted to show it to people. We wanted to say that it's a creative space for people to feel open and accepted and feel like they can create all of the content that they desire. And as part of our brand, we've actually separated the online academic community from the University of Victoria brand. So you'll see on the website it says an initiative of the University of Victoria, which means that you can feel comfortable to put your own thoughts and visions down on your site without feeling like you have to represent the University of Victoria. And you'll see that there's no crests or anything on the online academic community site. It is officially supported and created by the University of Victoria, but we haven't put it in the uvic.ca format or colors on purpose so that you can feel more comfortable being yourself online. And students as well, staff. So we ran an initial pilot project with a variety of participants. I think we had about 60 for around a year. And so around Christmas time, we started getting a lot of feedback from people, and we sent out a survey. We did some in-person usability sessions, and we actually ended up changing our main community design out of that. People wanted something that looked a little bit different, and so we went back to the drawing board, and earlier this year, we actually launched a variety of new features and a new look and feel to our site, and that's where we are now. So we are very open to changing the online academic community to meet the community's needs. And that's really what it's for. It's for all of us as UVic faculty, staff, and students. So we relaunched in April 2012 along with WordPress 3.8. So here are some of the statistics that we gathered from our surveys and our feedback. It was really neat to see what people were using. So this is, once again, not necessarily our online academic community specific, but just what people are doing on campus. We just wanted to get a really good sense of what people were interested in. So we had, here we had 27% of our users were actively using Twitter, 33% were using video and blogs, and we had some users using Facebook, but maybe not as many as we would have expected. But this also helps us when we're helping to pick plugins and things that will make your site more exciting. We know to focus on things like video and Twitter and those kinds of things. And we also had some interesting information from instructors about what they ask their students to create, and this also helps us to know what students are expected to know as part of course material and evaluation. So this was really, really interesting for us as well about video. So now we're at WordPress 3.9, which is the latest version of WordPress. So if you were to go to wordpress.com or something like that, you'd see that we have exactly what they have. They will charge you for their service, and it's not hosted on campus. It's not updated by somebody that you can just go down the hallway and talk to. So we really want to encourage you to use the online academic community because we're here and we have everything that WordPress.com does. We've also been working on some performance improvements, trying to make the online academic community really quick and speedy when you're loading pages, and making sure that we don't have any outages or issues. We haven't had any outages so far, so that's been fantastic, and we don't plan on having any. It's very stable. And then we also have support integration with Technology Integrated Learning. So that's a bit of a new piece of this with the online academic community.
Just keep it on that slide.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Thanks.
Thanks. I just want to emphasize something that Chandra said regarding having enterprise or in-house support. I'm on WordPress.com, and I have paid the additional fees to have a theme that's paid, that doesn't have ads, and let's see, what else do I have? Direct, so it's janaiaragon.me. And so I get VIP access to help, which means that I have better forums. And once I go through all the forums, I can email someone for help. And it usually will take about a half day to 2 days to get help. And I have premium subscription, whereas with OAC users, you can call or email the computer help desk and hopefully that day get help, instead of having to pour through forum after forum. If you use iTunes, you know the forums that I speak of. You just search and hope that you find your particular need. So this is one of the great things about the OAC, is the enterprise support between the computer help desk, systems, and then of course my unit, Technology Integrated Learning. And so I am both on the OAC and WordPress.com. I have a big digital footprint. I know that the NSA isn't particularly interested in watching what I'm doing, but nonetheless, I don't have an issue with my own information being sent to the US. With my students, that's a different concern, right? So there's different use for the OAC. I was actually using the OAC, it's still in its pilot stage, but I was using it for 2 of my courses last year. From, let's see, September to December, and then another 2 courses this last January to April. So it was my 3rd, 4th, and 5th year students. I didn't put my 1st year students on the OAC. I find that the first term, the 1st year students are just trying to figure out where buildings are. And, you know, the course spaces was new to some of them, so I thought I'll wait a year before we use the OAC. How have I used the OAC with my courses? I've had students put together ePortfolios of all of their assignments. Some of them have used it to its full use with the ePortfolio, including their resumes, their CVs, all of their written work. Others have just housed their course assignments. I've had them do free writing, which is, it says free writing, but it's analytical writing, not journaling. I've had them make videos. I've also had them do vlogs where they are responding to a reading. And so instead of a blog, it's a video log. And so they tape themselves discussing a particular course reading and what they thought about it in usually a quite thoughtful way. It's all about the analysis. Of course, within the OAC, since it's enterprise product, we are very careful about protecting student information and the settings. If students opt to use different plugins, let's say they want their Twitter feed, they are choosing to do so, and they would be using something that is sending their information outside of Canada. But if they're using the basics within the OAC, they can even set up their site and password protect the site, allow only people within the community to have access to that site, or have certain subscribers to the site. So there's different ways in which the student user, faculty user, staff user can protect their footprint within the OAC and not make it public. So what we have here, my staff, Amanda, we use both of our middle names. This is a fake student, so this isn't a real person, but this is Linda Lee's ePortfolio, Care Work Reflections, and we were politely asked to have a homepage, personal statement, curriculum vitae, self-as, APN, NP, areas for future growth and conclusion, and then reflections. This is a Flickr site, a Flickr image from the UVic site, and we do give credit to the person who took the photo. And I always instruct students or other colleagues, if you're going to use photos, try to use Creative Commons or go to UVic's Flickr site and make sure that you credit the source. It's like the works cited, if you will. Hopefully all of you in the back of the room, Noreen, can you see this? Yeah. So welcome to my ePortfolio. My name is Linda Lee. I'm a registered nurse. And then there's more, but note the content on this site is fictitious for demonstration purposes only. And the personal statement. Now, Mandy and I do not have a healthcare background, and so we took liberties here. I've been a registered nurse for the past 5 years. Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to be involved in a career that focused on helping others, et cetera, et cetera. What isn't part of the screenshot... We looked at a few nursing sites to make sure. On the bottom of each page is actually the information that either Cindy or someone else had said, can you speak to this? So it's the directions for the portfolio. And then we have a CV, fake email address at uvic.ca, right? The Bachelor's of Nursing, University of Victoria land, graduated with a distinction, of course, right? The professional experience, skills and training, honors and awards, just so you get a feel of what it would look like. And again, these are stock photos, Creative Commons. So areas of future growth, collaboration, learning, the course materials are alive and the shift, and again, noting this is fictitious. And this is a post on the site. I was the editor of it, so my handle on the OAC right now is Prof A. And this is me in there. Normally, you wouldn't see the edit. So I started my shift wondering if I would see any cases that we discussed in class the previous night. Was I in for a surprise? Because we often hear this from our students, like, is this going to matter? Am I going to use this in my life? And I tagged learning, nursing, teaching UVic for this particular site as well, or this post, excuse me. So speaking to ePortfolios, there is just, and it's growing by the gigabyte or the terabyte, lots of research about ePortfolio use. Now, when you look at employers' use or response to ePortfolios, that is a different conversation because some employers will look at them, others won't. But one of the things that we find with research about ePortfolios is that it's very useful for students, especially graduate students or professional students. It gives them an opportunity to think about their learning, so reflective learning, assessment. They can go back as well and fine-tune a post or an assignment. They might be at the end of their education, right before they graduate, and look back at what they learned throughout their year, 2 years, 3 years. And again, for some, the employers might review the site. We want our students to graduate with tech-savvy skills, and the great thing about the OAC really is what you see is what you get with it. If you're somewhat familiar with Blogspot, Blogger, WordPress, the OAC is quite intuitive. So what I have here, and Browsing is an app. It's free that you can download on your Apple product or your tablet, an Android tablet. So I do need to give credit, right, to where this is from. I love the Pinterest look. I am not getting paid to say this. I just wanted to share this. We have graduate student perceptions of ePortfolios, uses for reflection and development and assessment, teaching ePortfolios and the development of professional learning communities, digital learning or digital teaching portfolio in higher ed. And then, let's see, so this was the Internet and Higher Education. If you don't subscribe to this journal, I strongly urge that you occasionally look at it. Student response systems and learner engagement in large classes. I do think in your school this wouldn't be such a large issue, but maybe in an engineering class with 300 students might be more of an issue. But change, trade journal, defining the ePortfolio, what it is and why it matters. Higher education and emerging technologies, shifting trends in student usage. What we do find is that students are expecting that their faculty use technology, but they also get the opportunity to use technology in their classes. I think I have just one last from Browsing. Where is it? Review of university teaching and focus, a learning-centered approach. One of the reasons why I posted this particular page is each of these speak to the way in which you can use technology so it's student-centered. Because we hear about student-centered teaching, student-centered learning, and the OAC environment definitely offers this to them because they get the keys to the car, if you will, and they can make the site how they would like to use it. Of course, I have talked to some colleagues who've said, I'd like one site for the entire class to use, one theme, so that I don't have as many queries, perhaps an easier looking theme that doesn't use as many photos or other graphics, and we can certainly recommend some of those. This is what Linda Lee's dashboard looks like. So, you know, here, if Linda Lee wanted to add more posts, add more media, look at the pages, if there were comments, change the appearance, add more plugins, tools, settings, this is just what it looks like. If you're familiar with WordPress.com or .org, this is what the dashboard looks like as well. So you should feel very comfortable in that environment. It's really hard to break your site. If you were to try to delete it, you know, do you really want to do this message comes up. You can preview changes, you can update changes, which is really good if you're working with colleagues or students who aren't quite tech savvy as others. Now, I'm very proud of the fact that there's such a strong relationship with technology integrated learning and systems to support the OAC. I tell my staff we are in front of the curtain in the point and click interface, and our colleagues and systems are behind the curtain. The programmers, the coders, managers, directors, etc. Chandra and I have met periodically with Bill Trott, our privacy officer, and we meet with him on an ongoing basis to make sure that we continue to comply with our strict guidelines in this province with each new plugin or theme, so that there's this open line of conversation so that we can protect student data, faculty, staff data within the OAC. During the summer, thus far, we have indeed offered workshops, an open house 2 months ago, and of course drop-in assistance demos. Some of them have been in the computer help desk workshop area across the hall, or in my office, or in some of my staff's office as well. I mean, we are a phone call or email away.
There are a lot of advantages to centralized support on campus. So it's really fantastic to be able to just email someone or call someone and know that you're going to be helped. So we have engaged with the computer help desk, and so if you do have any questions about the online academic community, you need some help, you can always email helpdesk@uvic.ca. They also have a phone number that you can call. I believe they're even open on the weekends now, which is even more fantastic. So and how that links in with technology integrated learning is that the help desk is kind of the front end. So really simple questions they'll be able to answer for you and point you in the right direction. For more challenging questions or things that might incorporate some administrator access that we have on our end, then they'll escalate off to technology integrated learning, and then somebody from TIL may contact you directly or resolve the issue over email. So sometimes the help desk will be able to help you right away, but otherwise you will get help from an actual OAC administrator, which is really fantastic. And so that's all through the help desk. And we do have lots of people on staff to address your questions very quickly. And sometimes you might even hear from Janai and I when we get in there too. So if you have any other questions after this session, feel free to contact us or contact the help desk.